A thread by Carla Sosuita. For commentator type, check it out, President Trump. I just got to experience what you experience every day. Here's the accusation. Commentator tweets, I read all this thread. You said you are 58. You saw or witnessed, paraphrase, Korean War. Korea War ended 1953. Not really ended, but the shooting did. My dad called it a Korea conflict. How can you witness Korea War when you were born in early 60s unless you consider still at war? Here's what I said. This is the most politically suicidal behavior I've seen in my entire life, and I watched all the wars since the Korean War, all the social unrest since Watts, and all the domestic terrorism since the 1960s. Since has three definitions. One, from a definite past time until now. Two, before the present time. Three, after a time in the past. Since, I first said I'm 58 years old, born in 1962, I obviously meant definition number three, after a time in the past. I've seen all the wars after the Korean War. So this is how a trope is created. Context is everything, of course. A man walked up and shot another man in the head. What was the context? LATimes.com, gun disguised as TV camera ends crisis. Quote, police used a gun disguised as a television camera and the lure of a media interview to shoot a gunman holding 25 children and 3 adults, ending a 28-hour hostage crisis. The gunman, who is of Tunisian origin and has held Luxembourg citizenship since 1982, walked into the daycare center early Wednesday afternoon armed with a pistol, hand grenades, a knife, and a can of gasoline. The police moved in Thursday, a few hours after the man lifted a child up to a window in sight of the assembled security forces and media as if to show he meant business. Quote, we had to get them out seriously fast, said Joss Schumer, an emergency worker who was among the first to race into the building to rescue the children. He'd taken a can of petrol and poured it all around the room, firefighter Mark Lewig said. With police posing as cameramen and reporters, the man had come out with a child in one hand and a grenade in the other. Interior Minister Michelle Walter said that the situation provided police with an opportunity. He didn't have a free hand to activate the grenade, he said. The Luxembourg police got the gun from the German GSG-9 Federal Police Anti-Terrorist Unit. The Germans told them, he's going to kill all the children. That's the only reason he poured the gasoline out on the floor. He feels that this is the only way to restore his honor. The cops had no choice. Of course, the press and human rights organizations protested. The press wanted dead children so they could say the terrorist was driven to do it. And human rights organizations are all puppets of the Iranian mullahs. That's why I always use these psychos' own arguments against them. The terrorist drove the cops to do that. How do you like them apples, kids? Mexican cops improvised a perfect hostage rescue. YouTube link in the thread. 2 cops volunteered to fasten the hostages' seatbelts, telling the hostage taker that this way the hostage taker could hold on to both guns. They told the hostage taker that they'd fasten the seatbelts one hostage at a time. He won't even open the door until I'm done. When the first cop stood, the second cop opened the door, and they both lunged for the hostage taker's wrists, holding them while a third cop put 2 rounds in the guy's head. If you have cops who are willing to fool and kill hostage takers, let them do it. Here's something you don't know. A sniper's headshot with a high-powered bullet destroys the brain and prevents a trigger from being pulled. I won't link to the videos, but they're all over YouTube in brutal high-definition close-up. A man walked up to another man and shot him in the head, means nothing. The few leftists responding to my last thread are studiously ignoring the points I made. They're rioting in a country that doesn't exist. And that means the country that does exist will create the Trump 2020 landslide. This is Politics 101. If you're running for president of the US, you can't campaign in the Gobi Desert or Glaf Binania. Thanks for listening. And remember,
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.